It is 23 minutes to 4. Ben Jackson with you through until 6. Dr. Constantina Katsari Muston is joining us in the studio now. Travelled all over Europe, an archaeologist, a numismatist, is that right? It's a fabulous word, that, apart from a studier of coins. Recently stopped working at the university, Leicester University, and you kind of headed out in a slightly different, it's a sort of completely different direction. You've gone into helping people in business.
Absolutely. It is not an entirely different.
No, it's not entirely different. It's quite different, let's be honest.
Yes. Since I have been dealing with money for the past 20 years, I feel I'm qualified to actually advise people about how to make money. So what I do is I created a company that is actually teaching startups and established businesses how to find their customers. Not how to keep them, but how to find them, how to define their markets, and effectively I help them create the core of their business, because they go into the foundations of the business to figure out what the business is all about, what need of the customer does it cover, what problem does it solve. And I have been very lucky that a lot of people saw value in what I was doing. So soon. So with my husband, we are partnering up with Leicester for Business, which is a charity, in order to actually bring workshops and coaching for free to the people of the city of Leicester.
Because, and there are innumerable startups in the city, and there are business, well, not kindergartens, but nurseries, I suppose, I think like the depot and stuff, where people help and they help each other, and that's amazing. Always is the problem. You come up with a great business idea, but unless you know who's going to want it and whose problems you can solve with that, I mean, it's what you often see businesses, don't they, so-and-so solutions. And it is about providing solutions for people, isn't it, ultimately?
Absolutely. A lot of people come to me with an idea and they ask me, so, do you think it's a good idea? And my answer is always, how should I know? I don't have a clue. Go and ask your customers. If you find anyone that is going to be a customer, then obviously it's going to be a good idea. If somebody puts their hands into their pocket and want to take money out and give them to you, obviously it's a fantastic idea. Go ahead and pursue it.
And the thing is, you come to it with such an interesting perspective, because so many people are quite right, not a criticism in any way, but people go to business school, do a business degree, marketing degree, whatever it might be, and can become go into business themselves or become a consultant, whatever it might be. You've kind of done all of that, but with a historical perspective, particularly about money, because money behaves in often quite predictable fashion. Although it can seem unpredictable, it's predictable from a historical point of view, because by and large it's all happened before.
Well, if you know how the people are going to behave, then you can define how money is going to behave and how it is going to be created and multiplied. It doesn't have to do much about logic, but it does have to do with culture. It has to do with the behavior of the people, their psychological responses to the economy and to businesses.
We often hear in the news, don't we, about business confidence, and it's such an ethereal thing. What does that actually mean? But that's what you're talking about, isn't it? The way it might be illogical, but the point is that people behave in a certain way when they got a handful of money.
That is absolutely true. And in fact, the people who have the confidence to go into business and to stick with the business are probably the most successful businessmen that I have seen. And it has nothing to do with the degrees, nothing to do with MBAs, nothing to do with the PhDs. It has to do with the guts of the man or the woman who's going to take the step, go out there and take a risk and try to reach customers and sell a product or a service or whatever they want to sell.
I think it was Richard Branson. I read an article from him. It's a long time ago, and I might be misquoting him. If I am, forgive me. But it was along the lines of, I think he said, if you had 10 businesses, one or two had to be doing well, one or two had to be, keeping their head above water, one or two had to fail, and one or two had to be being supported because you weren't sure which way it was going to go yet. And that's having the confidence to do that, to set up a business knowing that might make some money, might not. That's a risk.
It is a risk, and that is why the entrepreneur, because we're talking about entrepreneurs here, should be able to take these risks.
I guess that's why he's a billionaire and I'm not.
Absolutely. Well, you may become one day, right?
Yeah, right.
And that is why I decided to to do an NLP degree. So I did the neurolinguistic programming in order to be able to program myself to get ready for success and program also the people that I'm working with so that they can make a lot of money.
Now you do that. NLP is interesting because it kind of emerged out of America, I don't know, probably 20, 30 years ago now. But actually it's about the way you talk and the way you talk to yourself, that you use successful words. And ultimately the principle being that it kind of soaks in.
Language creates ideas, it creates notions, it creates feelings, it creates emotions. So if you tweak the language a little bit, what you're feeling is going to change.
How?
For example, when you told me to come in and you said, don't worry, gosh, I'm going to worry. Because my brain does not hear the word don't. You should have used a different phrase.
What should I say?
Relax. Wow. When you mentioned the word worry, I got even more, and I should not be repeating it because now I can feel getting nervous.
No, I'm worried. You're worried. Tony, my producer's worried. Everybody's worried. Relax, everybody. Okay, we're better. That's really fascinating because you are absolutely right. And it's one of those things, if somebody says something nice to you, quite often you just brush it off. If somebody says something horrible to you, you will soak that up and that often stays with you. It's the same principle.
As a sponge, you will soak it. You will kind of hypnotize yourself into failure if you use the wrong words.
So how do you use NLP, though, from the perspective of, so I come in and I say, trying to make you feel comfortable, don't worry. So I commit the crime of immediately telling you to worry. How do you deflect that away, though?
Well, sometimes I do hypnotize myself the same way I hypnotize other people. That is in the worst of the cases. Or you can use affirmations, you can use visualizations. There are certain other techniques that I can use on people in order to get rid of their fears or their beliefs or their negative thinking.
NLP has actually been proven to be very effective, hasn't it? Particularly with people with low self-esteem and that kind of thing. And that can often affect people in business because they become a crisis of confidence. Clearly, we know that lots of business people are really confident, and that's what gives them the confidence to go out on their own in the first place. But there's often crises where you think, hang on a minute, nobody wants my things.
Well, the biggest fear an entrepreneur has is the fear of failure. Some people, though, do have a fear of success. Either way, fear of success or fear of failure, it leaves them, it makes them immobile. They cannot go ahead and take the right decision in order to promote their business. It holds them behind. So if you get rid of all these fears or all this negative thinking, obviously you are creating value for your business.
And through all of this, so archaeology, coins, business, you still, because we were talking about this off air, have a passion for history to the point where you still want to do that and do more with history.
Absolutely. This is not the end of history for me. In fact, it is just the beginning. When I decided to leave the university, it was not to leave history. It was because I wanted to expand. I published a big monograph back in 2011. And to tell you the truth, very few people read it and even fewer people understood it. So at this point of my life, I want to bring history to the masses of the people, the absolute masses of the people. So I want to do public history. What
do you mean by that?
What I mean by that, change the way we talk about history, because academics, myself included since very recently, we created a terminology that is not understood by the public. So I want to write and create and bring forward a different type of history that people understand, and they can get the examples from historical events and apply them in their lives. And there's a lot of value in history.
It's interesting, isn't it? Every profession develops a language of its own. Broadcasters do, historians do, medics do, and it can be completely impenetrable. It's like a kind of a self-fulfilling club, actually. You start to talk in acronyms and all that kind of stuff. The thing with history is I think that there has been a move, hasn't there, in recent years to try to get rid of that and actually just talk about history as if they're real people and it's real events and stuff, rather than dusty pieces and papers locked away in university cupboards.
And I hope that this will continue, and I will be able to contribute in that. It is very important for me.
You're passionate about that?
Absolutely. Well, do you know a lot of academics that leave their jobs in order to do something like that? All my family, my friends said, "Oh, you must be crazy." Of course I'm crazy.
I'm sure that's not an NLP word, though, let's be honest.
Well, you need a little bit of madness in order to create.
Constantina, it's been a pleasure talking to you this afternoon. Thank you so much for coming in. And look, we'll keep in touch, and particularly when it comes to this idea of public history, maybe we can do some stuff about that in the future, because I think that
would be fantastic. That's exactly what I would like to do.